Emotional thief exposed. Escaping the toxic love trap. Marissa leaned back into her chair, watching her best friend, Serena, pace nervously around the room. Serena's phone buzzed again, the 10th time within half an hour. The screen flashed with a familiar name. Jalen, please unblock me. I just want to argue one more time, the text read. Serena rolled her eyes, frustration evident in her face. Jalen wasn't a typical ex-boyfriend. He was charming, witty, and disarmingly attractive. But behind his captivating smile and carefully curated Instagram feed, he was chaos personified. He thrived in drama and attention, masking his deeply rooted insecurities beneath flashy clothes, expensive cologne, and endless nights partying at clubs. Marissa had seen through Jalen from the beginning. She knew the relationship was toxic, but Serena, a compassionate fixer-upper at heart, believed she could heal him. Jalen fed into this illusion, constantly playing victim, strategically displaying vulnerability just enough to keep Serena hooked. Their dynamic had always been volatile, arguing violently one day, passionately making up the next. Sex became their glue, but Serena mistook it for reconciliation. Jalen saw it as control. When they weren't physically entangled, Jalen was emotionally distant, cheating through flirtations online, sliding into DMs, and craving attention from multiple women simultaneously. Yet Serena tolerated it. Her self-esteem had been shattered from childhood wounds, and subconsciously she felt unworthy of real love. Every night out with Jalen, partying in smoky lounges or rooftop bars until dawn, became another desperate attempt to prove her worth. She drank heavily to numb the feeling of inadequacy, often losing herself in bottles of tequila or vodka, hoping intoxication would silence the voice inside screaming she deserved better. But Jalen's cruelty wasn't limited to emotional neglect. He subtly encouraged Serena's downward spiral into substance abuse, handing her pills casually, insisting it was harmless fun and escape. Soon, she depended on prescription drugs just to function. Her once bright eyes grew dull, her laughter increasingly forced, her spirit broken by a man who fed off her emotional instability. Eventually, Serena woke up to the pattern of manipulation. After hitting rock bottom, she experienced a spiritual awakening. With therapy, meditation, and guidance from genuine friends like Marissa, she realized she'd been trapped in a cycle with a man incapable of loving himself, let alone someone else. Serena cut Jalen off, completely blocking him from her phone, her socials, and her life. But a desperate Jalen wasn't finished. Unaccustomed to losing control, he resorted to increasingly manipulative tactics. He tried emotional blackmail, guilt-tripping, love-bombing, and finally outright harassment, flooding her social media feeds with passive-aggressive posts and stories meant to wound. Meanwhile, Serena was rising from the ashes of her past, a true phoenix rising. She grew stronger, empowered, and clear-eyed, recognizing her past promiscuity and wild partying as manifestations of her pain. Now she craved authenticity, true connection, and spiritual depth. Jalen, on the other hand, spiraled further into darkness. Without Serena as an emotional punching bag, he panicked, his fragile ego fractured as his drinking intensified, nights blurred into mornings and pill bottles becoming his only constant companions. He partied harder, pretending on Instagram he was living his best life, fractured as his drinking intensified, nights blurred into mornings and pill bottles becoming his only constant companions. He partied harder, pretending on Instagram he was living his best life, yet drowning in grief behind closed doors. He knew Serena had changed. He stalked her new spiritual interests online, furious and threatened by the calm radiance she now exuded. Seeing her happy, whole, and ready to embrace real love drove him mad. His ego demanded revenge. Late one night, in a drunken haze, Jalen posted a cryptic, emotional plea online, a desperate emotional heist aimed at Serena's heart. "Please unblock me. I just want to argue one more time." It was public, dramatic, intended to pull her back into the toxic vortex he had created. But Serena, guided by her intuition and newfound strength, saw through it immediately. She recognized this manipulation for exactly what it was, a desperate man trapped by his own self-sabotage, lashing out to reclaim control. Marissa squeezed Serena's hand supportively as they both stared at the phone screen. Serena took a deep breath, smiled faintly, and pressed delete. She had finally chosen herself. The emotional thief had failed, and Serena was determined never to be robbed again.